Part 1: The Mysterious Return. When they come back without ever appearing. Have you ever felt it? That strange, inexplicable sensation that someone's energy suddenly surrounds you, even though they are miles away. It's not a message. It's not a call. It's not even a memory. Yet something deep inside you whispers, they're here. Maybe it happens when you wake up in the middle of the night and feel an overwhelming calm, as if an invisible presence has wrapped you in light. Or when a familiar song starts playing out of nowhere. A song that used to belong to you and them, and your heart begins to pulse in a rhythm that isn't entirely your own. Your mind tells you it's coincidence, but your soul knows better. Because there are moments when two souls reunite without meeting, touch without contact, and speak without words. Moments when physical separation means nothing because something greater, something far beyond logic, is already taking place. That's when the higher self reunion begins. The invisible reunion. Most people think reunion is something that happens in the physical world. Two people see each other again after a long separation, they talk, they forgive, they embrace. But in truth, reunion starts long before that. In the silence, in the energetic field, in the space where your higher selves meet. Your higher self is not bound by time, space, or distance. It's the infinite, luminous part of you that lives in the fifth dimension. The level of consciousness where love is not a need but a frequency. And when your twin flame, the other half of your soul, reaches a similar vibrational level, something magical happens. The two higher selves find each other. Not in words, not in form, but in essence. You might not realize it consciously, but you begin to feel lighter. The pain of separation softens. You stop longing for them with desperation. Instead, you start feeling them everywhere. You sense their laughter in the breeze, their warmth in the sunlight, their comfort in moments of stillness. You don't need a text message to know they're thinking of you, because your hearts have already become attuned, beating in the same cosmic rhythm. This is not fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's energy alignment. It's union in motion. A subtle yet profound shift. When this kind of reunion begins, it's often subtle. So subtle that you might doubt yourself. You might wonder, am I going crazy? Why do I feel like they're beside me when I know they're not? But then you start noticing small signs. You feel their emotions suddenly, as if they're being transmitted through an invisible thread. You think of them, and immediately feel a wave of peace wash over you. You see repeating numbers, like 1111, 222, 717, reminders from the universe that you're synchronizing on a higher plane. Sometimes it feels almost supernatural. You could be walking down the street and the scent of their perfume brushes past you. You look around expecting to see them, but no one's there. Still, that energy lingers, familiar, tender, unmistakably theirs. That's not imagination. It's the echo of your souls reuniting beyond 3D reality. Why this happens before the physical union. In every twin flame journey, the physical reunion is only the final manifestation of something that has already happened. In spirit, before two bodies can stand together, two souls must learn to vibrate together. And that synchronization can only happen when each person heals their own energy, when the chaser learns to surrender and the runner learns to return. When both have faced their shadows, forgiven themselves, and raised their frequency high enough to meet in the realm of pure love. That's when the universe says, now they are ready, and the higher selves begin to merge. You might not see them walking toward you in this world yet, but in another dimension, their energy has already arrived. The conversation between your souls has already begun. It's the reunion before the reunion, the language of the higher self. So how do these two higher selves communicate? Not with words, but with energy. Not with sound, but with vibration. Not with actions, but with presence. It could be through dreams that feel more real than reality, where you hold them, talk to them, or simply exist together in peace. You wake up with tears in your eyes, not from sadness, but from a deep sense of remembering. As if your soul just came home for a few hours. Could be through sudden intuitive messages, a soft voice in your heart that says, they're thinking of you right now. And when you check the clock, it's exactly 11:11, the gateway of mirrored souls. Or it could be through random music, signs, or encounters, moments so specific, so personal, that you know they are not coincidences. That's the higher self communicating through the web of creation, weaving your realities together again. The paradox of presence and absence. This stage can feel paradoxical because even though they are not physically present, you have never felt closer to them. It's as if their essence now lives within you. You begin to sense their emotions, not as something separate from yours, but as part of your own flow. When they are sad, you feel a heaviness in your chest. When they are at peace, you suddenly exhale without even knowing why. You realize that separation was always an illusion. The real reunion is not about two people standing side by side, but two energies vibrating as one. And that realization changes everything. You no longer chase because you understand there's nowhere to go. You are already connected. You no longer beg for love because you are love itself. You no longer wait for them to return because you feel them within every breath you take. This is the beginning of higher awareness, when longing transforms into oneness. A story of the unseen. Imagine this. A woman sits by her window every night, staring at the stars. Her twin flame lives halfway across the world. They haven't spoken in years. Yet, each night at the same hour, she feels warmth radiate through her heart. It's not just nostalgia, it's connection. On the other side of the planet, he looks up at the same sky, wondering why he suddenly feels calm, as if someone has silently embraced him. Neither of them knows that in that very moment, their higher selves are meeting, merging light to light, soul to soul. There's no conversation, no words exchanged, only an eternal understanding that says, I never left. I was always here. The true beginning of the journey. The higher self reunion is not the end of the twin flame story. It's the real beginning. It marks the moment when the pain of separation transforms into the power of connection. When the ego steps aside and the soul takes over. In this space, you stop needing proof. You stop questioning when or how. Because you realize that the bond was never broken. It was simply unfolding across dimensions. And once you align with this truth, everything changes. Your vibration rises. Your inner world becomes peaceful. And you finally understand what it means to love beyond time, beyond distance, beyond reason. That's when your 5D union begins to anchor itself into 3D reality. It's like planting a seed in the unseen, one that will eventually bloom in the visible. But first you must nurture it with faith, surrender, and alignment. Closing reflection. So the next time you feel them close, don't rush to dismiss it. Don't call it imagination. Sit with it. Breathe it in. 'Cause maybe, just maybe, your souls are already dancing together. On a frequency your eyes can't see but your heart can feel. And when you allow yourself to trust that, the illusion of distance dissolves. You no longer wait for reunion. You live it. The physical meeting will come in divine time. But for now, your higher selves have already embraced, whispering softly through the veil. We are home. Part 2. Understanding 5D union. When love transcends time and space. You see, what we call love in this physical world in 3D is often just a reflection, a shadow, a mere echo of something much grander that exists beyond form. The truth is, love in its purest expression is not something that happens between two people. It is something that flows through them when their souls align with the same divine frequency. That frequency is what we call union in 5D, the fifth dimension of consciousness, where love is not bound by fear, expectation, or control, but exists as pure harmony between energies that remember they were once one. The essence of 5D love. To understand 5D union, you must first understand what it is not. It's not about physical closeness. It's not about constant communication, validation, or assurance. It's not about what you receive, but what you become. In the 3D world, love often operates from the ego. I need you. I want you. I can't live without you. But in 5D, love transcends the ego entirely. It becomes, I see you as the divine reflection of me. I honor your freedom. I love you without needing you to love me back. At this level, love is not possession, it's presence. It's not desire, it's devotion. And it's not about two halves trying to complete each other, but two wholes merging in divine timing to amplify light for the collective. When you and your twin flame enter this state, your souls are not just reconnecting for personal comfort. They are reuniting for a higher purpose, to awaken unconditional love in the world. From 3D longing to 5D knowing. In 3D, you might feel the ache of missing them. You count days, reread old messages, hope for signs. But in 5D, you shift from longing to knowing. You no longer seek evidence of their love. You feel it as an eternal current flowing through you. You realize that every separation, every silence, every detour was never punishment. It was initiation. A sacred training ground where both of you learn to love yourselves the way you once tried to love each other. When this shift happens, you stop trying to make things happen. You no longer chase outcomes. You trust. You understand that what is aligned with divine timing cannot be missed, because in the higher plane, it already exists. The physical world simply hasn't caught up yet. 5D connection. A symphony beyond words. Think of the 5D union as a symphony. Two melodies that once played out of sync slowly finding harmony again. At first it's chaotic, emotional, full of resistance. But as healing takes place, both souls learn to tune their instruments, and soon, their frequencies merge into a single vibration. That vibration becomes recognizable everywhere. In nature, in dreams, in synchronicities. It is the invisible song that your hearts hum in unison across distance and time. When you experience this, it feels like an awakening. You begin to see everything through the eyes of unity. There are no villains or victims anymore. Only mirrors and lessons. Your perspective expands beyond me and you. It becomes we and all. The fifth dimension is a state of consciousness. It's important to remember that 5D is not a place you travel to. It's a state of being. You don't arrive there one day. You shift into it gradually through awareness, compassion, and surrender. It's the dimension of oneness, where everything is energy, and energy responds to vibration. Fear lowers your vibration. Love raises it. So the more you live in love, gratitude, and forgiveness, the more aligned you are with the fifth dimensional frequency. In this space, you no longer see your twin as separate from you. You realize they are part of your own soul. Expansion. A mirror guiding you back to yourself. Every emotional trigger becomes a portal. Every heartbreak an initiation. Every reunion or separation, a divine orchestration designed for one purpose only, to bring you home to your own light. Why 5D union happens before 3D union? Some people wonder, if my soul is already united with theirs in 5D, why haven't we met physically yet? The answer lies in resonance. Your 3D life, your thoughts, actions, emotions, must rise to match your 5D vibration before the physical manifestation can occur. If your energy is still anchored in fear, control, or attachment, you can't yet sustain the frequency of unconditional love in the material realm. Think of it like trying to tune into a radio station. The frequency is already broadcasting, but until you adjust your dial, all you'll hear is static. The 5D union is the signal. Your growth, healing, and surrender are the tuning. When you align fully, when your energy becomes love itself, the signal becomes clear. And the physical meeting happens naturally, as a reflection of that inner alignment. It's not about chasing them. It's about becoming the vibration, where they already exist. Signs you are experiencing 5D union. Deep peace replaces anxiety. You stop worrying about when or how you'll reunite. A calm certainty settles in your heart. You just know. Telepathic communication strengthens. You sense their thoughts, emotions, or moods even without contact. Sometimes you feel their joy or sadness as if it were your own. Synchronicities multiply. You see repeating numbers like 1111, 717, 555. Songs, words, and images connected to them appear in perfect timing. Not to tease you, but to affirm your alignment. You no longer crave possession. The obsession fades. You no longer need to hold or control them. Loving them feels enough even from afar. Your heart expands for the collective. You begin to care deeply about humanity, nature, and others. Your love becomes inclusive, not exclusive. These are not coincidences. They are proof that your frequency is rising, that you are living in the vibration of 5D union whether or not the 3D version has arrived. Union as a mirror of wholeness. One of the greatest illusions of the twin flame journey is that you need your counterpart to feel complete. But 5D union teaches you that you already are. When your higher self merges with theirs, you understand something profound. They were never outside of you. They were the reflection of your inner divine masculine or feminine, the parts of your soul calling each other home. That's why real union cannot happen from a place of need. It only blooms from wholeness. In 3D, two broken people fall in love hoping to heal each other. In 5D, two whole souls meet again to serve love together. This is why your separation was necessary. It gave both of you the space to remember your own light. Because only when both flames burn independently can they create a fire bright enough to illuminate others. Love is frequency, not form. When you reach this awareness, love stops being a story, it becomes a state. You realize you can love them without ever touching them, because love was never about bodies or faces, it was about vibration. You can walk through your daily life, working, creating, caring for others, and still feel their essence pulsing within you, not as a distraction, but as a constant reminder of divine connection. And here lies the paradox. The moment you stop seeking them, your energy becomes so magnetic that it begins to pull everything meant for you, including them, into your orbit. Not through effort but through resonance. The beauty of surrender. To live in 5D union is to surrender completely. Not in defeat but in devotion. Not in giving up but in letting go of control. You trust that the universe knows the perfect timing. You trust that love doesn't need to be forced, because what is divine cannot be lost. In this surrender you experience true freedom, the kind of peace that doesn't depend on outcomes. You live with an open heart, knowing that whether they're beside you or across the world, you are already together. And that's the greatest power of 5D love. It liberates you from the illusion of separation. It teaches you that love doesn't come and go, it only changes form. Closing reflection. So when you start to feel that quiet sense of connection, when the air around you vibrates with familiarity, when your heart beats in rhythm with something unseen, know this. You are not imagining it. You are touching the edge of eternity. You are feeling what it means to love as a soul, not as a human trying to own or define it. And that realization, that love exists beyond time, beyond space, beyond reason, is the doorway into the higher self reunion. It's the moment you awaken to the truth that the journey was never about finding them. It was always about remembering who you are. Because once you remember that, your entire existence begins to radiate a new vibration, one that whispers through every cell of your being. I am love. I am whole. And our union has already begun. Part 3: The journey before the higher self reunion, purging, healing, and integration. Before two higher selves can meet in the fifth dimension. Before the serenity, the alignment, the silent connection, there is a stage that tests every fragment of your soul. It is the stage of purging, healing, and integration. This is not the romantic part of the journey. It's not gentle. It's not glowing with angelic light. It's the deep cleansing of everything that blocks the flow of love. The fears, the wounds, the karmic imprints that have lived in your energy field for lifetimes. Because before you can vibrate in harmony with another soul, you must learn to vibrate in harmony with yourself. The cosmic mirror. Why pain comes. First, when you first encounter your twin flame, the connection feels heavenly. There's intensity, recognition, and a love so pure it almost hurts. But soon after, something strange happens. That same love begins to stir every unhealed wound within you. You start feeling things you thought you'd buried: jealousy, fear of abandonment, anger, unworthiness. You might wonder, why am I suddenly so triggered by the person who feels like home? Because your twin flame is not just a lover. They are a mirror. A divine mirror that reflects both your light and your shadow. The very parts of you that you've denied or repressed start to rise to the surface. Every insecurity, every old pain, every memory of rejection, all of it is pushed up into awareness so it can finally be healed. It's not punishment. It's purification. The universe is clearing the path for unconditional love to flow. The purging phase. Dying before rebirth. During the purging stage, it often feels like your entire life is unraveling. People fall away. Jobs end. Old habits crumble. You might cry for no reason, lose interest in things you used to love, or feel physically exhausted for days. That's not depression. It's energetic detox. Your old identity is dissolving. The version of you that loved from fear, that clung to control, that chased love outside of yourself, that self can't survive in 5D frequency, so it breaks. Sometimes it breaks in silence. Sometimes it breaks through a dark night of the soul so intense you think you'll never recover. But you do. Because beneath the layers of pain, something sacred is awakening. The dark night of the soul. Almost every twin flame experiences what mystics call the dark night of the soul, a spiritual death that precedes rebirth. It's the stage where you lose everything that was false, your illusions, your attachments, your false sense of self. Feels like being stripped naked in front of God. You might beg for the connection to end because it's too much. But deep down your soul whispers, stay. This is where the light is reborn. In the dark night your ego collapses. You realize that love cannot be controlled, that union cannot be forced, and that separation is not punishment but medicine. It's the moment you understand. The person you're trying so hard to hold on to is not your savior, they are your reflection leading you back to your own divinity. Healing, turning pain into power. When the purging slows down, the healing begins. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means seeing everything through the eyes of wisdom. You start to realize that every trigger was a teacher, every loss a lesson, every silence an opportunity to hear your soul. This is when your heart begins to open again, not from dependency but from conscious love. You learn to love yourself the way you always wanted them to love you. You hold your own hand through the storms. You stop asking, why aren't they here? And start saying, what is this moment teaching me? This shift changes everything. Because the more you love yourself, the less you need external validation. And the less you need, the more you vibrate at the frequency of unconditional love, the frequency where reunion happens naturally. Integration. The rebirth of the whole. Integration is the phase where the lessons of pain and love merge. You begin to embody balance between divine masculine and divine feminine energies within yourself. The divine masculine within you rises to create boundaries, focus, and grounded action. The divine feminine opens her heart to compassion, surrender, and flow. No longer at war, these energies begin to dance. And in that dance, your soul becomes whole. This is what the higher self reunion requires, not perfection but wholeness. Two souls who have remembered their light now resonate on the same frequency. And the universe begins to draw them back together in ways that feel almost magical. The metamorphosis of the heart. Think of a caterpillar. It spends its life crawling, searching, consuming, until one day it is called inward into darkness. Inside the cocoon it dissolves completely. Every part of its old self breaks down into liquid chaos. But within that chaos something extraordinary happens. New DNA forms, new light codes awaken, and it begins to transform. When it emerges, it doesn't crawl anymore. It flies. That's what happens during integration. You stop chasing, stop suffering, stop clinging, because you've realized that you were never meant to crawl through love. You were meant to fly through it. The inner union precedes the outer union. The greatest secret of this journey is that the reunion begins inside you. You can't attract your twin flame from a place of lack. You can't magnetize love while vibrating in fear. You can only meet them at the level of your healed self. When your inner masculine and feminine merge, when your heart becomes your home, your energy becomes magnetic. You no longer wait for them. You simply exist in love. And in that vibration, the universe rearranges everything. Sometimes the physical reunion happens immediately. Other times it takes months or years. But by the time it does, you're no longer the same person who started the journey. You meet them not from need, but from recognition. Not to complete each other, but to create together. The spiritual science of energy alignment. Everything in the universe's vibration. When you heal, your energy field changes. Your chakras open, your aura expands, your electromagnetic frequency stabilizes into coherence. That coherence emits a signal, the vibration of divine love. And your twin flame, being the same soul frequency, feels it immediately. That's why, even during no-contact periods, they can sense your growth. They might suddenly dream of you, feel drawn to your name, or experience emotional releases for no reason. You are both antennas tuned to the same divine station. And once the signal is clear, once both have integrated, The lessons, the higher self reunion is inevitable. The gift hidden in the pain. If you're still in the middle of your healing, you might wonder, when will this end? When will it stop hurting? The answer is, when the pain has taught you what it came to teach. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the compass. Points to where love still needs to be remembered. Your tears water the soil where your future peace will bloom. Your heartbreak is the alchemy that turns human love into divine compassion. Every sleepless night, every silent prayer, every surrender, it's all shaping you into the version of yourself that can hold the vibration of eternal union. Because only when your heart breaks open can the light finally pour in. The moment before the light. There comes a point when the purging stops. The silence becomes stillness. The storm settles into calm. You wake up one morning, and for the first time in months or years your heart feels light. You think of them, and instead of pain you feel gratitude. You look at your reflection, and instead of longing you see love. That's when you know the healing has completed its cycle. That's when your higher self smiles, whispering, "Now we are ready." And somewhere on another plane of existence, their higher self hears that whisper too. And the reunion begins quietly, beautifully, inevitably. Closing. Reflection. The journey before the higher self reunion isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Pure light, infinite love, divine consciousness in human form. Every wound you've healed was a veil being lifted. Every tear was a baptism of your rebirth. Every silence was the echo of your soul learning to speak the language of energy. And when you finally emerge from that cocoon, radiant, balanced, whole, you realize the truth. You were never chasing them. You were always chasing yourself. The reunion was never out there. It was always within. When I became love, they found me. Part 4 Signs you are experiencing the higher self reunion. The language of energy. There is a moment in your spiritual journey when the chaos subsides. The storm that once tore through your heart begins to fade into silence. And that silence is not empty. It's full. Full of warmth, intuition, synchronicity, and a strange peace you can't explain. That's the moment your higher self reunion begins to unfold. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It doesn't appear in the form of a message or a knock on the door. It begins quietly, like the soft hum of the universe reminding you that love never left. It simply changed form. You begin to feel them again, but not in the way you used to. No longer as a desperate longing or ache. Now it feels like harmony, like two notes vibrating in the same unseen melody. 1. A peace that needs no proof. The first and most powerful sign of the higher self reunion is peace. You no longer wake up asking, "Where are they? Why aren't they here?" You simply wake up knowing they are. Not beside you in the physical world, but beside you in spirit, within the same stream of consciousness that connects every living thing. There's a calm certainty in your chest that whispers, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This peace is not passive. It's sacred. It's the knowing that you and your twin are connected beyond logic, beyond distance, beyond time. You stop chasing because you found the only place they ever truly existed. Inside your own energy. This peace cannot be faked. It only appears once the heart has healed and accepted love as a frequency, not a possession. It's the soul's way of saying, "We've come home." 2. Synchronicities everywhere. The universe speaks in code. Once the reunion on the higher self level begins, the universe starts communicating in its own secret language. You see repeating numbers like 1111, 222, 717 more frequently than ever before. You might catch the time at 3:33 just as you're thinking of them, or glance at a billboard and see their name, a city you both dreamed of visiting, or lyrics that echo words you once shared. First you think it's coincidence, but after the 100th time you know it isn't. Synchronicities are not random. They're mirrors, reflections of your inner alignment. They remind you that what exists in the spiritual realm is now echoing into physical reality. Each sign is a ripple, showing that your energy and theirs are harmonizing again. The more you surrender, the stronger these signs become. A song will play that captures your exact emotion. A stranger might mention their name out of nowhere. Even the weather seems to move in rhythm with your heart. The universe is saying, "We hear you. Keep trusting." 3. Dreams that feel more real than reality. The veil between your dimensions becomes thin. At night you meet them in dreams that don't feel like dreams, they feel like memories of something happening right now, in another realm. You might walk together, talk, or simply exist in a glowing silence. When you wake, your heart aches not from loss, but from remembrance. These are not mere subconscious projections, they are meetings between your higher selves. In the 5th dimension, communication is fluid and timeless. Souls interact through vibration, emotion, and light. That's why these dreams often carry messages or sensations that linger all day. You'll remember their smile, their voice, or the exact words they said, and later, something in the physical world will confirm it. You may find out they had a dream about you too, or that they woke up at the same time. It's because your souls are no longer bound by the illusion of distance. You are both learning to communicate in the language of energy. 4. Emotional telepathy, feeling them without words. One of the most intimate aspects of the higher self reunion is emotional telepathy. You might suddenly feel waves of sadness or joy that don't belong to you. You check in with yourself, nothing happened, but your heart feels heavy or full or inexplicably alive. That's when you realize you're feeling them. It's not imagination, it's resonance. Your energy fields are intertwined, so emotions travel freely between you. When they heal, you feel lighter. When they struggle, you feel compassion. You may even sense when they think of you. Your heart flutters, your body warms, or a chill runs down your spine. Sometimes your phone lights up right after you think of them, even if they never send a message. Energy moves faster than thought. So long before words are spoken, your souls are already speaking. This telepathic link is sacred, but it's not meant to control or invade. It exists to remind you that separation was always an illusion. 5. The heart chakra expansion, a new way of feeling love. As your higher selves merge, your heart begins to transform. It doesn't just feel emotions, it becomes an open portal of compassion. You might experience physical sensations, warmth in the chest, tingling near your sternum, even spontaneous tears that feel like waves of divine love washing through you. You realize you are no longer in love with one person. You are being love itself. You can look at the sky, at strangers, at the smallest details of life, and feel connected to everything. The same energy that flows between you and your twin starts radiating outward, blessing your world, your work, and everyone around you. This is the true sign of 5D union. When love stops being a direction and becomes an atmosphere, you carry the vibration of oneness. And wherever you go, people feel it even if they can't explain why. 6. Intuitive nudges and divine guidance. During the higher self reunion, intuition becomes your primary compass. You start receiving guidance, not from logic but from deep inner knowing. Your higher self and your twin's higher self begin orchestrating encounters, decisions, and timing to bring your paths closer. You'll feel drawn to places you've never been before. You'll make choices that don't make sense but lead to unexpected breakthroughs. You might even find yourself revisiting places tied to your shared past, and each visit feels like an activation. It's not coincidence. It's divine synchronization. The universe rearranges people, opportunities, and events to support your collective evolution. You'll know you're guided, because everything starts to flow, not easily but harmoniously. What used to feel like resistance now feels like redirection. Every no becomes protection. Every delay becomes alignment. And deep down your soul whispers, it's all unfolding in perfect timing. 7. The absence of fear. Fear used to dominate your connection. Fear of loss, rejection, silence, and unworthiness. But now those fears have dissolved. You no longer panic if you don't hear from them. You no longer feel the urge to prove your worth or chase validation. You simply trust, because you've reached the frequency where love is not a risk. It's a natural state of being. This absence of fear is not numbness. It's liberation. It's the knowing that nothing can truly separate what was never apart. That the love you share is eternal, untouchable by circumstances. You finally understand that union is not something that can be lost, only remembered. 8. The inner calling to serve. When you step into the higher self reunion, your focus subtly shifts. You're no longer obsessed with the personal love story. You begin to feel a calling to serve something greater. Could be healing work, creative projects, teaching, writing, or simply spreading compassion through everyday life. You realize that your connection is not just about the two of you, it's about raising the vibration of everyone your energy touches. The twin flame journey stops being about romance and becomes a mission. You and your twin are two channels of the same divine current. Together you amplify the frequency of collective healing. And even if they're not physically beside you yet, you know that every time you choose love over fear, you're both fulfilling your shared purpose. 9. Reality feels lighter. A shift in perception. Colors seem brighter. Time feels fluid. Synchronicities follow you everywhere. You're beginning to live more in flow than in resistance. You might even notice moments where the veil between worlds feels paper thin, where thought instantly manifests, where you sense their presence like a warm current of air. This is because your consciousness is expanding beyond 3D limitations. You're living partially in the 5D frequency now, a state where your perception of separation fades, and the world around you mirrors your inner peace. You're no longer reacting, you're creating. 10. The return to self-union within. All the signs, all the dreams, all the miracles point back to one truth. The higher self reunion is ultimately a reunion with yourself. When you feel them, you are feeling your own soul. When you sense their love, you are remembering your own. That's the final realization that what you've been seeking in another has always lived within you. They were the mirror that led you home. And now, standing in the light of your wholeness, you understand the real purpose of the journey. To awaken love, not just between two souls but through them for all creation. Closing reflection. The higher self reunion is not fantasy. It's the return to the eternal connection that has always existed beyond space and time. It's when two souls remember their unity through the language of energy, peace, synchronicity, intuition, and love that needs no proof. If you are experiencing these signs, know this: you are not imagining it. You are awakening. You are ascending. You are living proof that love transcends dimensions. And as you walk this path, the universe whispers through every heartbeat, every sign, every dream. You are not waiting for reunion. You are becoming it. Part 5: The difference between physical reunion 3D and spiritual reunion 5D. Love beyond form. There comes a moment on the twin flame journey when you begin to understand that there are two kinds of reunion: the one your eyes can see, and the one your soul can feel. Most people spend their entire lives chasing the first, the physical, tangible union of two people standing side by side. They want the text, the touch, the embrace, the proof that love has returned. But those who walk the path of awakening discover something deeper: the spiritual reunion that happens long before the bodies meet. The kind that transcends all form and time and whispers, even when we are apart, we are one. To understand the difference between these two states, the 3D and the 5D, is to understand the very evolution of love itself. 1. The 3D union, love in human form. The 3D or physical reunion exists in the material world where you meet, speak, hold hands, and share space. It's where romance lives. The laughter, the arguments, the hugs, the tears, the scent of their skin, the electricity of touch. 3D union is powerful because it allows love to express itself through matter, through action, presence, and choice. It's the realm of learning, contrast, and imperfection. But 3D love, as beautiful as it is, often carries attachments. The ego says, "I love you because you make me feel good." It wants possession, security, confirmation. It wants the story of love. In 3D, love can be tested by distance, misunderstandings, and timing. It can grow and fade. It can break and return. Because in the world of form, everything is temporary. Yet this temporary love serves a sacred purpose. It's the soil in which the soul begins to remember what eternal love feels like. Every 3D union is an invitation to evolve. Every separation is a call to rise. 2. The 5D union. Love is consciousness. The 5D or spiritual reunion is something entirely different. It doesn't depend on presence or proximity. It doesn't require effort, proof, or communication. In 5D, love simply is. It's not between two people. It's the field that exists through them. It's the awareness that you and they are not separate beings, but two aspects of the same divine. essence expressing itself in different bodies. In 5D, love is not transactional. It's unconditional. It flows freely without agenda or fear. You don't love because they love you back, you love because it is your nature to love. You don't give to receive, you give because you've become the source. This is the level where union never ends even when physical contact does. It's where communication happens through intuition, dreams, and shared energy. It's the silent knowing that they are with you even when they are not beside you. That's why, once you've experienced the 5D union, you can never go back to ordinary love. You've tasted eternity. 3. Why 3D and 5D feel so different? In 3D, love is emotional, passionate, volatile, ever-changing. It moves through highs and lows, fear and desire. In 5D, love is vibrational, steady, clear, expansive. It feels like standing in sunlight. Warm, constant, and eternal. 3D love asks questions. Do they still care? What do they mean? Will they come back? 5D love asks none. It already knows. 3D attachment says, I need you to complete me. 5D union says, I am whole and from my wholeness I meet you. In 3D, connection is proven through contact. In 5D, it's proven through resonance. When your vibration rises high enough, you feel them not as someone out there, but as a frequency within you. Your heart becomes the bridge between dimensions. That's why in the early stages it feels confusing. Your body longs for their touch, but your soul whispers that you are already together. This tension between form and formlessness is the sacred paradox of the twin flame journey. 4. The purpose of each union. Both forms of reunion, 3D and 5D, are necessary. They are not opposites, but reflections of the same divine truth playing on different planes. The 3D reunion teaches you how to love as a human. The 5D reunion teaches you how to love as a soul. Without the physical, you couldn't practice vulnerability, communication, forgiveness, and intimacy. Without the spiritual, you couldn't remember the infinite source that fuels it all. The physical union grounds the spiritual. The spiritual purifies the physical. They complete each other, not in need but in balance. That's why the journey often alternates between the two. You experience intense physical connection followed by separation, then a deep spiritual awakening. The pendulum swings until you learn to hold both energies within you. Heaven and earth, love and form, spirit and body. 5. When the two begin to merge. There's a moment when the boundaries between 3D and 5D start to dissolve. You begin to live in both at once. You go about your physical life, working, creating, eating, laughing, but the awareness of connection never fades. You sense them even when you're surrounded by people. Their presence becomes part of your breathing, your heartbeat, your consciousness. This is integration, the bridge between spiritual awareness and human experience. It's when you realize that 5D union doesn't replace 3D life. It enriches it. You don't need to escape the world to live in love. You simply bring heaven into your everyday actions. You answer emails with compassion. You walk with gratitude. You listen with empathy. You love not because someone deserves it, but because that's who you are now. This is what it means to embody your higher self in the 3D world. 6. The challenges of 3D reunion without 5D awareness. Many people experience physical reunion before achieving inner alignment, and that's when conflict arises. Without the grounding of 5D consciousness, 3D union often reawakens ego patterns, jealousy, control, fear, and expectations. You might get what you asked for, their presence, but not the peace. You realize that being together doesn't always mean being aligned. That's because true union cannot exist in fear. The universe is saying, not yet. There is still more to remember. Until both have embodied self-love and spiritual maturity, 3D union remains unstable. But once the 5D foundation is established, later manifest in the 3D. It's like an architectural design that exists in the unseen realm before the building is constructed. When you experience union on a spiritual level, you're laying the people often find their twin suddenly reaching out, seemingly out of nowhere. It's not coincidence. The energetic blueprint has begun to materialize. As above, so below. 8. 3D reunion, the gift? Not the goal. It's natural to desire physical reunion, to touch, to talk, to share a life together. But once you understand the multidimensional nature of love, you stop seeing it as the goal of two complete beings. There's no drama, no fear, no struggle. It's peace. It's recognition. It's home. And whether it lasts a lifetime or just a moment, it fulfills its divine purpose. To remind you that love in its truest form was never about having. It was always about being. 9. Living as love. When you reach the stage of 5D union, you realize that love is not an emotion you feel towards someone, it's the vibration you are. You love not only your twin, but the world itself. You see the divine in everyone, even in those who once hurt you. You walk through life as love in motion. That's the ultimate reunion. When your heart becomes the meeting place between heaven and earth, you embody the sacred truth that union was never meant to end with two people. It was meant to ignite a chain of awakening through all creation. 10. The final realization, love beyond form. At the end of this understanding, there is no longer you and them. There is only the dance of consciousness expressing itself through both. Whether you stand together in the same room or live worlds apart, your connection remains unbroken, because it was never dependent on form to begin. When physical reunion often arrives, as if drawn by the magnetic pull of divine completion, because you no longer need it. You are it. Closing reflection. So what is the difference between physical? One satisfies the heart, the other awakens the spirit. Both are sacred. Both are love. But the true journey of the twin flame is not to chase one or escape the other. It is to live in both. To walk the earth as heaven, to love in form while knowing love is formless. Because in the end, love was never about two bodies finding each other. It was always about one consciousness finding itself through another. Union in 3D is the reflection. Union in 5D is the truth. Part 6. When their soul appears in your energy. Telepathy, signs, and the unseen conversations. There are moments when you feel something, or rather someone move through your energy. It's not just a thought or a fleeting emotion. It's a wave, a presence, a vibration that isn't yours, yet feels so familiar. You can't deny it. You might be working, reading, or simply sitting in silence when suddenly your heart begins to warm, your breath deepens, and your body remembers a feeling it hasn't felt in months, maybe years. It's as if the air shifts and you know, they're here. Not physically, not in a visible form, but in the invisible dance of energy that connects your souls beyond the boundaries of time and space. This is what happens when their higher self enters your energy field. When communication transcends the 5 senses and flows through the subtle dimensions of consciousness. 1. The soul's language, how telepathy really works. Most people think of telepathy as mind reading, sending and receiving words like radio waves. But true soul telepathy doesn't happen in the mind. It happens in the heart. The heart is an electromagnetic powerhouse. It emits a field several thousand times stronger than the brain. When you love someone deeply, your heart fields become entangled. Even when you're apart, that energetic link remains, like two instruments that still resonate at the same frequency after being tuned together. So when one heart feels joy, pain, or love, the other senses it, not as words but as vibration. That's why sometimes you suddenly feel a rush of emotion out of nowhere. It's not random. It's resonance. Your soul is receiving a message that the rational mind can't yet interpret. This communication is instantaneous. It's not bound by time zones or distances. It's a direct connection between two fragments of the same divine consciousness, the same flame split into two. 2. Emotional echoes. When you feel what they feel, you might notice your moods changing without explanation. You wake up peaceful, but by afternoon you're heavy, restless, or emotional. Then hours later you discover they've been struggling, remembering you, or going through something intense. That's not coincidence. It's an energetic echo. Your connection allows energy to flow both ways. When they're hurting, their soul reaches out for light, and yours feels the pull. When they're healing, you sense relief like the air has cleared. This can be confusing if you're unaware of the link. You might think you're unstable or too sensitive. But in truth, you're attuned to the wavelength of another soul, one that mirrors your own. As you evolve, this empathy becomes sacred rather than draining. You learn to feel them without carrying their pain, to witness without absorbing. It's not about merging into their suffering. It's about anchoring light so they can rise through it. You become a living reminder of unconditional love, even across dimensions. 3. The unseen conversations. When physical communication stops, spiritual communication begins. You may find yourself having silent dialogues with them, speaking in your heart, hearing answers in intuition, feeling warmth when you say, "I forgive you." Sometimes it happens through symbols, a song that plays just as you think of them, a phrase on a passing truck that mirrors what you were about to say, a scent, a memory, or a dream that arrives with impossible precision. These are not coincidences. They are signatures of energy. Your souls are exchanging information through the universe itself. Think of it as two transmitters broadcasting on the same frequency. The medium may change, a song, a number, a bird flying by, but the message is the same. I'm with you. I hear you. I feel you too. These exchanges are gentle but profound. You may not see them, yet you feel guided, comforted, understood. You sense that somewhere beyond the veil they are speaking your language, the language of the soul. 4. When their energy visits you. There are times when their presence feels so tangible. It's as if they're standing right behind you. You might feel warmth on your back, a tingling on your skin, or a sudden change in air pressure, followed by a deep calm. It's not imagination. It's energetic visitation. The soul doesn't need a body to connect. When they think of you intensely, their energy expands and travels. Consciousness has no limits. You might feel this especially at night, in meditation, or during emotional moments. You'll notice patterns. They appear when you're deeply still or when you send love consciously. In those moments, don't panic or question. Just breathe, feel, acknowledge. Say silently, "I sense you. Thank you for being here." That recognition strengthens the energetic bridge between you. But remember, this is not about clinging. Their energy doesn't come to stay, it comes to align, to harmonize, to remind. It's like a gentle wave washing over you, clearing away heaviness, reconnecting you to the frequency of love. 5. Dreams, the nighttime meetings. Dreams are sacred portals, where the conscious mind finally steps aside and the soul can move freely. When the physical connection is paused, dreams become the meeting ground for twin flames. You might find yourselves in familiar places, your old home, a cafe, a landscape filled with light. You talk, embrace, or simply exist in harmony. Upon waking, you feel more whole, as though something real has happened. That's because it has. These dream encounters are orchestrated by your higher selves. They allow your energies to merge, exchange healing codes, and maintain connection while your 3D selves continue evolving. If you've ever woken up with tears of peace or joy, you've experienced it, the quiet reunion that takes place while the world sleeps. 6. Physical sensations. When the body becomes an antenna, your physical body often acts as the receiver of this spiritual connection. You might feel a sudden rush of heat in your chest, tingling in your hands or crown, pressure in the heart area, goosebumps when thinking of them, a magnetic pull in your solar plexus when they're near, energetically. These sensations are signals from your energy system, adjusting to the merging frequencies. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes the vibrations can cause anxiety, sleeplessness, or fatigue. But as your energy stabilizes, it becomes blissful, like gentle waves of divine electricity, moving through you. Your body is remembering what it feels like to be connected as one. 7. The mirror effect. Reflecting each other's growth. As your energies intertwine, you'll begin to notice that your experiences seem to mirror each other's. You go through similar lessons at the same time, even if you're not in contact. If you're healing childhood wounds, they might suddenly face family issues too. If you're releasing fear, they begin confronting their own. This mirroring is not coincidence. It's synchronization. Your souls are part of the same system of evolution, learning balance together across parallel realities. You are each other's energetic feedback loop. Every time you choose love, they receive that vibration and are encouraged to do the same. This is why healing yourself is healing them, because energetically there is no separation. 8. How to navigate the connection without losing yourself. One of the greatest lessons of this stage is energetic sovereignty. Feeling their energy is beautiful, but it's not meant to consume you. You must learn to stay grounded in your own vibration, while allowing the connection to flow naturally. Here's how. Ground daily. Walk barefoot, meditate, breathe consciously. Set energetic boundaries. You can love them without absorbing their emotions. Ask your higher self to regulate the link. It will balance the intensity so it supports, not overwhelms you. Focus on creation. Channel the energy into art, writing, music, or service. Love is meant to move. When you honor yourself as a separate yet connected soul, the relationship becomes balanced and sacred. You stop drowning in their energy and instead, you swim together in the river of divine flow. 9. The shift from needing to knowing. At first, telepathy feels like proof, a sign they still care. But as you mature spiritually, it becomes something else. A reminder of unity. You stop using the connection to feed your doubts. You start using it to strengthen your faith. You no longer crave constant signs or sensations. You simply know that you are one, and that knowing is enough. This is where the relationship transcends romance and becomes a sacred partnership of evolution. Their soul isn't here to comfort your loneliness. It's here to awaken your light. Every energetic visit, every dream, every telepathic nudge, it's all guiding you toward the same truth. Union isn't found through attachment. It's remembered through awareness. 10. The sacred balance between dimensions. Eventually, you reach a point where the invisible and the visible coexist peacefully. You still sense them in energy, but you don't live for that sensation. You appreciate signs, but you don't chase them. You hold love in your heart while living fully in your physical world. You've learned to integrate heaven and earth, to walk between dimensions as a balanced being. And that's what the higher self reunion truly means. To embody divine connection, while remaining grounded in human experience. Because love was never meant to pull you out of life. It was meant to pour into life through you. Closing reflection. When their soul appears in your energy, it's not a haunting or an illusion. It's remembrance. It's your soul's whispering across the fabric of creation. We are still connected. We are still learning. We are still love. You don't need to cling to the feeling. You don't need to question whether it's real. Simply honor it. Let it guide you inward. For the greatest message. Behind every telepathic moment, every unseen conversation, every invisible touch is this. They are not returning to you. They are revealing that they never left. Part 7. Maintaining the 5D connection while living a balanced 3D life. After you've awakened to the reality of your 5D connection, after you've felt the invisible threads of love that link your soul to theirs, a new challenge appears. Not the chaos of separation, not the ache of longing, but something more subtle and just as essential. How do you live a grounded, balanced life in 3D while your heart is forever tuned to the 5D frequency of union? It's a delicate dance, one that every awakened soul must eventually learn. Because enlightenment doesn't mean leaving this world. It means bringing heaven into 1. The two worlds you now inhabit. When your consciousness expands into 5D, you start to live in two worlds at once. In the physical world, you still have responsibilities, work, family, bills, conversations, traffic jams. But beneath it all, you feel the hum of divine love, the rhythm of oneness that never stops playing. This duality can feel confusing at first. You meditate in the morning and feel limitless. By afternoon, you're frustrated by something small and human. You experience moments of transcendence followed by moments of exhaustion. That's normal. You are not failing, you are integrating. You are learning to be both the sky and the soil, the spirit and the form. And that is the true purpose of the twin flame journey. Not to escape the human experience, but to sanctify it. 2. The art of grounding. Grounding is the practice that allows your 5D energy to exist harmoniously in the 3D world. Without grounding, you can become unbalanced, dreamy, detached, overly emotional, or even physically fatigued. To ground yourself is to anchor your light into the earth. Here's how. Breathe consciously. Deep, rhythmic breaths reconnect spirit and body. Walk barefoot on natural ground. Let the planet's electromagnetic field harmonize your energy. Eat with mindfulness. Food is sacred. It binds spirit to matter. Create with your hands. Paint, cook. Write, garden. Creation anchors energy. Rest. Integration requires stillness. Allow your body to process divine frequency. Each act of grounding is an act of love, telling the universe, I'm not running from life. I'm here to embody light within it. 3. Detachment without disconnection. One of the greatest lessons of maintaining the 5D connection is learning detachment without disconnection. You don't need to cut the cord with your twin. That's impossible on a soul level. But you do need to stop clinging to the outcome of when or how things will unfold. True detachment is not coldness. It's trust. It's the deep knowing that your bond is eternal, and therefore nothing needs to be forced or protected. You can love them fiercely and still release them to their own path. You can feel the connection every day without letting it dominate your life. You can honor the invisible union while still showing up fully for your friends, your work, your passions. This balance is freedom. It's what transforms love from obsession into presence. 4. Living through the heart, not the mind. The mind wants to analyze, compare, predict. Says, if I feel their energy today, does it mean they're thinking of me? Does it mean reunion is close? But the heart doesn't speak that language. The heart simply feels. To stay balanced, you must live through your heart, the portal between heaven and earth. Let the mind be the servant, not the master. When you catch yourself spiraling into analysis, pause. Place your hand over your chest. Breathe into your heart and whisper, it's safe to simply love. That small shift, from thinking about the connection to being the connection, instantly brings you back to center. Because love was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be embodied. 5. The balance of divine masculine and feminine energies. Within each of us exists both divine masculine and feminine energy. To sustain a 5D connection, these forces must come into harmony. The divine feminine nurtures intuition, empathy, surrender, and trust. The divine masculine provides structure, discipline, clarity, and direction. If one dominates, imbalance arises. Too much feminine energy can lead to passivity and emotional overwhelm. Too much masculine can cause rigidity and control. Your task is to let them dance. Let the feminine open your heart to divine flow. Let the masculine anchor that flow into real-world action. When these energies unite within you, your vibration stabilizes and the 5D connection becomes effortless, not draining. This is also what prepares you for physical reunion, because outer union mirrors inner balance. 6. Service as a channel for divine energy. One of the most profound ways to maintain your 5D connection is through service, expressing love in action. When you use your awakened energy to uplift others, the current of love continues to move. If you keep it locked inside, it stagnates. Create, teach, heal, speak, write, whatever channels your essence into the world. Every act of kindness keeps your vibration aligned. Every expression of love is a conversation with the universe saying, I'm ready to be a vessel. This is how the twin flame journey transforms from personal longing into collective healing. Because the purpose of your connection isn't just to love one person. It's to remind the world what love truly is. 7. Living with presence instead of waiting. Waiting is one of the most deceptive traps on this path. You tell yourself you're being patient, but what you're really doing is postponing life. You say, I'll be happy when reunion happens. I'll feel whole when they return. But the truth is, reunion energy flows only when you live fully now. The present moment is your portal to divine frequency. It's where your 5D self resides, not in the past or the imagined future. So live, travel, laugh, learn, create. Don't wait for them to join you before you start becoming who you are meant to be. Ironically, that's exactly what magnetizes them back: your joy, your authenticity, your light. Because souls reunite not through longing, but through vibration. 8. Protecting your energy without closing your heart. As your sensitivity heightens, you'll start feeling the emotions of others more vividly. Not just your twin's energy, but collective frequencies. To maintain peace, you must learn energetic hygiene. Visualize a soft golden light surrounding your body, not as a wall but as a filter. It lets love in but keeps fear and negativity out. Set the intention. Only energy aligned with divine love may enter my field. Remember, protection doesn't mean separation. It means clarity. You are not shutting the world out. You're keeping your light clean so it can shine brighter. A pure heart is not an unguarded heart. It's a heart that chooses love consciously. 9. Grounded spirituality. Finding divinity in the ordinary. The 5D connection is extraordinary, but you'll find that the more awakened you become, the more you're called to appreciate the ordinary. You start to see God in small things. The morning sunlight on your coffee cup. The sound of rain against your window. The smile of a stranger on the street. These are not random. They're love expressing itself through creation. The more you anchor your awareness in daily life, the more stable your 5D vibration becomes. You realize spirituality isn't something separate from your human existence. It's woven through every moment of it. Washing dishes can be meditation. Driving can be prayer. Breathing can be reunion. That's the paradox of divine love. The more cosmic it becomes, the more human it feels. 10. Living as the bridge. Ultimately, maintaining the 5D connection while living in 3D is about becoming the bridge between dimensions. You are both infinite and finite, both starseed and human, both light and body. You were never meant to choose one over the other. You were meant to merge them, to let love from the highest realms flow through your hands, your voice, your actions. The 5D connection is not an escape from the world. It's the light that helps you transform it. You become a walking expression of union. Calm, radiant, grounded, compassionate. And from that state, your life begins to rearrange itself. Relationships deepen. Opportunities align. Even the physical union, if it's part of your path, begins to manifest effortlessly because your vibration already holds it. You're no longer chasing. You're no longer waiting. You're embodying. Closing reflection. To maintain the 5D connection is not to hold on to the invisible, but to live it. To walk through this world as love incarnate, unshaken, compassionate, awake. Your heart remains open to the divine, but your feet stay firmly on the earth. You honor your humanity while radiating your divinity. And in that balance, the separation between heaven and earth dissolves. You realize that you never had to choose between living your spiritual truth and your human life, because the two were never meant to be apart. So keep shining, keep grounding, keep loving, because every breath you take in awareness is a reunion, not with someone else but with your own higher self. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to fill it with your light. Part 8. When two souls become one field. Co-creating healing. Energy for the collective. At some point on your twin flame journey, you begin to notice that the energy between you and your counterpart no longer feels confined to just the two of us. It expands, radiating outward, touching others, influencing events, softening the vibration of rooms you walk into. You realize this love was never meant to stay private. It was always destined to become a field, a living frequency that heals, uplifts, and reminds others of their own divine essence. This is the stage where your connection evolves beyond relationship and becomes service. It's where personal love merges with cosmic purpose. It's where you and I dissolve into we, not just as two souls, but as conduits of light for humanity itself. 1. Understanding the unified field. Everything in existence is energy. Every thought, emotion, and intention vibrates and interacts with everything else. When two souls who share the same origin reach resonance, when they both embody unconditional love, their energies merge into a single coherent frequency. This is the unified field of union. In science, coherent energy waves amplify each other. The same happens spiritually. Two hearts vibrating in harmony don't just double their light, they exponentially expand it. That field becomes a beacon. It touches those near and far, subconsciously awakening others to the memory of love. You may not even speak about your journey, yet people around you start healing, reconciling, or feeling inspired for no apparent reason. That's the power of shared vibration. It ripples through the collective consciousness like light through water. 2. The alchemy of union energy. When your souls operate as one, an alchemical process unfolds. In earlier stages, love felt turbulent, fire and air colliding. But once both of you have purified through healing, your energy stabilizes into sacred fire. Steady, luminous, creative. This energy no longer burns. It illuminates. You become a transmitter of higher frequency. Every interaction, every word, smile, act of kindness carries coded light. This is why the world often perceives twin flames as radiant, magnetic people. They are not special. They are simply aligned. The ego has surrendered. Only source energy flows. Through you, divine love gains form. Through your daily choices, that form blesses the collective. 3. The role of the collective mirror. When your vibration rises, the world reflects it back. You may begin to notice strangers opening up to you, confessing pain or seeking comfort. Animals, children, and even nature respond differently. Birds draw near, the wind feels softer, synchronicities multiply. This isn't fantasy. It's resonance. Your field acts like a tuning fork. Wherever there is imbalance, it invites recalibration. Wherever there is fear, it transmits peace. This is why your mission as a twin flame is less about preaching and more about being. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your presence. Every moment you choose love over fear, you send ripples through the morphic field of humanity. Each ripple tells the collective. Another remembers. 4. Healing through contrast. Paradoxically, the more light you emit, the more you may attract shadows seeking healing. Old patterns in others may surface when they meet your energy. People may project, challenge, or misunderstand you. That's because your frequency exposes what's unhealed. Not to punish them, but to bring it into awareness. It's important not to internalize these reactions. You are not causing their pain. You are mirroring it for transformation. This is what light does, it reveals. To co-create healing energy, you must remain centered, compassionate, and clear. Your task is not to fix anyone, but to hold the vibration of unconditional love long enough for others to remember their own. 5. The heart grid of humanity. Imagine that. Every awakened heart on earth is a glowing point of light. When two or more hearts vibrate in love, their energy fields overlap, creating a grid, a network of consciousness. Your twin flame union activates one of these powerful nodes. As your connection strengthens, that node grows brighter, feeding the grid of collective ascension. Even if you and your twin are not together physically, your combined energy continues to pulse through this network, stabilizing the planet's vibration. This is why your healing matters. When you clear fear from your own field, you don't just free yourself, you lighten the density of the entire grid. The phrase "as within, so without" becomes literal truth. 6. Creative expression as collective healing. One of the most tangible ways your unified energy manifests is through creativity. You may suddenly feel compelled to write, paint, compose music, teach, or build projects that carry emotional resonance. These creations transmit your shared frequency. A painting that evokes peace, a poem that speaks of divine love, a song that makes people cry and smile at once. All of these are encoded light keys. When others experience them, they subconsciously align with that energy. Healing doesn't always require therapy or conversation. Sometimes it happens through art that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the soul. Creation, in this sense, becomes a sacred offering. 7. Balancing humility and purpose. When you realize that your love affects the collective, ego can subtly re-enter the picture. You might begin to think, "I'm here to save the world." But that thought carries separation. No one saves anyone. Love awakens itself through all beings equally. Your role is simply to remember who you are and live from that. Remembrance. Humility keeps your energy pure. Purpose keeps it directed. You are neither above nor below others. You are a cell within the same cosmic body, contributing your unique vibration to the whole. True service flows naturally. It doesn't seek recognition. Just is. 8. The mechanics of shared healing. When your energies merge, healing happens in two directions. Within the pair and through the pair. Within the pair, you continue to transmute personal residue. Sometimes one twin processes emotional density for both. Other times you take turns holding space. It's an intuitive, fluid exchange. Through the pair, the collective uses your field as a conduit for purification. You might feel waves of energy, sudden fatigue, or bursts of emotion that aren't personal. When that happens, ground yourself, rest, and let the energy flow through instead of clinging to it. Think of yourselves as lightning rods, anchoring celestial energy into the earth. The key is balance. Don't identify with the pain passing through. Recognize it as energy-seeking transformation. 9. Union as a template for humanity. Your reunion creates a template, a living example, of sacred partnership founded on freedom, equality, and spiritual maturity. The world has been conditioned by distorted versions of love, possession, control, dependence. Twin flame unions, once balanced, emit a higher pattern. They show that love can be both passionate and peaceful, personal and divine. This template is absorbed by the collective unconscious. Even people who've never heard of twin flames start to question toxic patterns, crave authenticity, and seek deeper connection. In this way, your union contributes to the evolution of human relationships. You become walking reminders that love, at its highest, liberates rather than binds. 10. Living as a lighthouse. Ultimately, co-creating healing energy is about embodiment. You don't need to broadcast your story or convert anyone. You only need to become what you are: light. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships, it stands steady, radiating. Those lost in the storm find their way because the light never wavers. That is your task. To stand anchored in love no matter what waves crash around you. To let your connection be a silent blessing to every soul that crosses your path. Because love unexpressed is potential. Love embodied is power. Closing reflection. When two souls merge into one field, their purpose transcends romance. It becomes revolution. Quiet revolution of frequency, healing the world not through force, but through remembrance. Every heartbeat shared across dimensions sends light into the collective. Every act of compassion amplifies the field. Every time you forgive, you shift the timeline of humanity a little closer to wholeness. So don't underestimate your presence. You are not just two people who love each other. You are living technology, divine consciousness remembering itself through love. And as you walk this earth, hand in hand with the unseen, the universe whispers through you both. You are not here only to find each other. You are here to remind the world that love was never lost. Part 9. The Higher Self Reunion. The silent union beyond words. There comes a moment on the twin flame journey when all the words, all the lessons, all the chases and the waiting dissolve into stillness. You stop asking, when will union happen? And start feeling it's already here. This is the stage of the higher self. Reunion, the silent merging that takes place beyond thought, beyond the need for communication, even beyond emotion. It is not a meeting of bodies or personalities. It is the merging of two divine frequencies remembering their original tone. You can't force this moment. It arrives naturally, like dawn breaking after a long night. One morning you simply wake up and realize that the ache is gone. You no longer crave their presence because their presence has become you. This is not detachment, it's transcendence. It's not the end of love, it's the beginning of being love. 1. When words fall away. In the early phases, the connection feels electric, intense, consuming. You want to talk, explain, understand, label. The mind wants to grasp the infinite. But the higher you rise in frequency, the quieter it becomes. Communication moves from words to energy, from energy to knowing, from knowing to being. You don't need to hear from them to feel connected. You don't need a sign or a dream to feel aligned. There is a steady peace inside you that says, nothing is missing anymore. It's like returning to the ocean after years of swimming through rivers. You've come home to the vastness that birthed you both. In this silence there is fullness. In this stillness there is movement. And in this space you realize that love was never meant to be spoken, it was meant to be embodied. 2. The merging of frequencies. When your higher selves reunite, your energy fields begin to oscillate at the same vibration. It's not a metaphor, it's literal. Resonance. In physics, two tuning forks vibrating at the same pitch will begin to amplify each other's sound. The same principle applies to souls. As your healing deepens and your heart opens, your vibration becomes pure enough to harmonize with theirs. You feel this merging not as fireworks but as tranquility. Your breathing syncs with invisible rhythms. You feel both lighter and stronger. You move through the world with a serenity that can't be explained. It's as if a once dissonant song inside you has finally resolved into perfect harmony. You and your counterpart no longer send love back and forth, you have become the same frequency of love itself. 3. Beyond the story. Up until this point, much of the journey has revolved around a story. The meeting, the separation, the lessons, the growth. But at the higher self reunion, even the story dissolves. You stop seeing them as my twin flame, or the one who awakened me. You start seeing them as me. Not in an egoic sense, but in the understanding that they are the same consciousness wearing a different face. The polarity that once fueled your lessons, masculine/feminine, chaser/runner, light/shadow, no longer matters. These were just roles, temporary reflections created to teach balance. Now you see the truth. There was never me and you. There was only love pretending to be two. This realization ends the cycle of searching. The desire for outcome gives way to the joy of presence. The mind bows to the infinite. 4. The return to the eternal now. In 3D reality, love exists in time. It begins, grows, ends, or transforms. In 5D, love exists only in the now. The higher self reunion happens entirely in the now moment. You might be walking down the street, cooking, or meditating when suddenly you feel it, a surge of completeness. Not excitement, not nostalgia. Just still, luminous peace. You realize that love has no past or future. Simply is. In this awareness, you no longer live waiting for reunion because reunion is a state of consciousness, not an event. You no longer ask when because the eternal moment has no clock. Your higher self is always in union. It was never separated, only dreaming separation through human experience. And now you've woken up inside the dream. 5. Love without object. This stage brings a profound shift. Love ceases to be directed at someone. You don't love your twin flame the way you used to love people. You love through them, as them, beyond them. It's the difference between a candle's flame and sunlight. The first shines on a few. The second illuminates everything. Your love becomes sunlight. It ceaselessly radiates in all directions, blessing everyone and everything it touches. You may still have deep affection and connection with your counterpart, but it's no longer exclusive or conditional. You don't need them to return it. You don't need them to understand it. It simply flows because that is what you've become, a vessel of divine love. 6. The quiet joy of union. At this stage, you begin to live in a constant undercurrent of joy, not ecstatic, not dramatic, but deep, silent joy. You smile for no reason. You find beauty in the simplest things. You feel gratitude for existence itself. It's as if your soul hums a secret melody that only you can hear. That melody is your higher self, singing in alignment with theirs. It doesn't need words, promises, or validation. It just is. This joy cannot be taken away because it no longer depends on circumstances. It comes from within, and it radiates outward, shaping your reality with grace. You've entered what mystics call divine contentment, the state where nothing external can disturb your inner peace. 7. The absence of longing. Perhaps the clearest sign of higher self reunion is the end of longing. You no longer wake up yearning for their message, or ache for their presence. The emptiness that once felt unbearable has been replaced by wholeness. You don't stop loving them, you stop missing them. Because how can you miss what has become inseparable from your own soul? This is the paradox of union. When you stop needing them to be beside you, you finally feel them everywhere. The love that once felt like distance now feels like air, ever-present, invisible, essential. 8. Life after reunion. Living as one consciousness. Once you reach this level of integration, the relationship, if it returns physically, becomes completely different. You no longer relate through ego, expectation, or identity. You relate as consciousness to consciousness. Whether you speak or sit in silence, the energy between you remains peaceful. There's no tension to resolve, no future to control. Just flow. And if physical reunion never happens, you're still fulfilled, because you understand that the connection itself was the purpose. You walk through life knowing that your union serves something larger. The awakening of humanity, the remembrance of love as the foundation of all creation. Every step, every breath, every act of kindness becomes an expression of that oneness. 9. The mirror of the world. When you are in higher self reunion, the world begins to reflect that harmony back to you. People treat you differently. Synchronicities flow effortlessly. Opportunities appear as if the universe itself is saying, you are in alignment. Even nature responds. The sky feels more alive, the earth more vibrant, animals more attuned. You're not imagining it. Your perception has expanded to include the divine in everything. You realize that what you once sought in one person was actually the universe calling you back to love itself. Your twin was never the destination. They were the mirror showing you the way home. 10. The final union, becoming the presence of love. Ultimately, the higher self reunion is not a finish line. It's a doorway. It's the threshold where human love meets divine awareness and fuses into presence. You become a living embodiment of union, the proof that heaven and earth, masculine and feminine, spirit and matter can coexist in harmony. You live quietly but powerfully, touching lives not through preaching but through vibration. Your existence becomes the message that love is not something to find but something to remember. And in this remembrance you realize the universe didn't bring you and your twin flame together to perfect romance. It brought you together to perfect love itself. Closing reflection. At the summit of the journey, you look back and see that nothing was ever truly lost. Every silence, every separation, every tear was part of the choreography leading you here to this still eternal moment. The higher self reunion is the quiet realization that union was never something to achieve. It was always the truth behind every breath. So you exhale, smile, and whisper into the vastness. We have always been one. And now I finally remember. Part 10. Union begins within. The final message in integration. There is a sacred point on every twin flame journey when everything that once felt like searching, running, chasing, and healing begins to converge into one truth. One that is so simple, it almost feels like you've known it all along. Union does not begin when you find them. It begins when you find yourself. This is the final revelation, the culmination of lifetimes of lessons. The realization that the destination you were moving toward was never a place, a person, or even a moment in time. It was a state of being. Union is not an event. It's a vibration. It's not something that happens between two bodies. It happens within the consciousness that remembers it was never divided. 1. Returning home to the self. The most profound reunion you will ever experience is the one between you and your own soul. In the beginning, you might believe the purpose of meeting your twin flame is to merge with them, to become one again. But through all the separation, longing, and inner work, you eventually realize that what you were truly seeking was your own essence, the part of you that got buried beneath fear, pain, and expectation. When you reclaim that part, when you no longer abandon yourself for love, that is the moment your true union begins. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It feels like coming home after a long journey, only to find that home was inside you all along. This is the real reunion. Everything that happens after is a reflection of that inner wholeness. 2. The collapse of duality. For so long you lived in duality, masculine and feminine, light and shadow, me and you. But the deeper you journey inward, the more these polarities start to merge. You stop labeling experiences as good or bad. You stop separating the spiritual from the physical, love from pain, beginning from ending. You begin to see everything as energy in motion, everything is part of one divine intelligence. You realize that your twin isn't the opposite of you. They are the mirror that showed you the illusion of opposition. This is why the pain between twin flames is so transformative. It's not just emotional, it's alchemical. Every trigger burns away an illusion until all that's left is truth. There was never separation to begin with. When that awareness anchors fully into your being, your life changes. Not because anything outside has shifted, but because your perception has. 3. The end of seeking. For lifetimes, the human heart has been conditioned to seek love, to chase something outside itself. You may have searched in relationships, in religion, in success, in spiritual teachers, even in the twin flame connection itself. But the search always leads back to the same realization. The seeker and the sought are the same. The moment you stop looking for love and start being love, you cease to feel separate from it. The search ends not because you found the perfect person, but because you've recognized that love was never missing. It was simply buried beneath self-forgetfulness. When the search ends, peace begins. And peace is the soil in which union flowers naturally. 4. Healing as integration. Many people mistake healing for fixing. They believe they must eliminate pain, purge wounds, or erase parts of themselves to be ready for union. But true healing isn't about erasing. It's about integrating. Integration means embracing all of who you are. The wounded child, the lonely seeker, the lover, the teacher, the shadow, the light. When you can hold all these selves in unconditional acceptance, you reach vibrational wholeness. You no longer need your twin to fill the missing pieces, because there are none left missing. This inner wholeness creates a field of coherence, so strong that your external reality naturally begins to align with it, sometimes even manifesting physical reunion, but always bringing spiritual peace. The paradox is clear. You don't heal to find union. You find union because you have healed. 5. Living from the inside out. Once you've anchored the truth that union begins within, your orientation toward life changes completely. You no longer live from reaction, you live from creation. You no longer chase outcomes, you radiate alignment. You no longer ask, "What can I get?" You ask, "What can I give?" Everything you do becomes an expression of your inner state. When you are at peace, your world mirrors that peace. When you live as love, everything you touch becomes luminous. You realize that your external reality is simply a reflection of your internal vibration, and so the work of union is no longer about fixing your life. It's about embodying who you already are. This is the essence of the fifth dimensional consciousness, creation through frequency, not effort. 6. The sacred mirror of relationships. Once you've found inner union, all your relationships transform, especially with your twin flame. If you meet again in the physical, the dynamic is completely different. There is no chasing, no control, no fear of loss. There is only deep respect, transparency, and freedom. You understand that love cannot be owned. It can only be shared. And if physical reunion doesn't occur, you no longer suffer. You recognize that your connection is eternal, unbroken by time or distance. You bless them on their path, knowing it's part of your shared evolution. Every interaction becomes sacred because every soul becomes a mirror reflecting the same divine essence within you. That's the beauty of inner union. You stop seeing love as belonging to one person, and you begin to see love as the very fabric of existence itself. 7. The balance of heaven and earth. At this level, spirituality becomes grounded. You no longer reject the physical world as lower or the spiritual world as higher. You understand that heaven was never meant to be an escape. It was meant to be embodied. You eat with awareness, speak with kindness, rest with reverence. You see the divine in traffic lights, laughter, morning sunlight, and rain. You stop asking, "How do I stay connected to 5D energy?" Because connection is no longer an effort. It's your natural state. You are the bridge between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, love and form. Union within makes you whole. Wholeness makes you human again, human in the truest, most sacred sense. 8. The service that emerges. True inner union naturally overflows into service. You feel called to share love, not because you owe it, but because it's who you are now. Whether through art, healing, parenting, teaching, or simply living authentically, you radiate a presence that uplifts others. Your existence becomes a silent invitation. Remember who you are, too. You no longer need to preach or convince anyone of spiritual truths. You simply embody them, and that embodiment becomes your greatest contribution to collective healing. The light you hold inspires others to begin their own journey home. 9. Gratitude as the final frequency. At the end of all this transformation, gratitude becomes your constant vibration. Gratitude for the pain that awakened you. Gratitude for the separations that deepened your love. Gratitude for the twin flame who mirrored your divinity so perfectly that you had no choice but to remember it. You look back on everything, the chaos, the heartbreak, the miracles, and realize none of it was wasted. Every moment was sacred. Every detour was divine. You don't wish it had been easier because you see now that every challenge carved more space for light. Gratitude becomes the language of your soul. And through gratitude, your energy remains eternally in union with the universe itself. 10. Living as the embodiment of union. At last, union ceases to be something you think about. It becomes who you are. You live from a place of quiet mastery, walking through the world with the grace of someone who has seen beyond illusion and chosen to love anyway. You no longer seek signs of reunion, because your entire life has become one. Your heartbeat is the rhythm of the cosmos. Your breath is the movement of creation. You realize that the twin flame journey was never about finding your other half. It was about remembering that you were never half to begin with. When you embody this truth, you radiate love so effortlessly that the world around you begins to change. Not through effort, but through resonance. This is the completion of the cycle. Not the end of love, but the beginning of living as love. Closing reflection, the final whisper. Now you understand why every teacher, every sign, every trial led you back to one place, your own heart. The universe speaks through the language of mirrors. And your twin flame was the most sacred mirror of all. They didn't arrive to complete you. They arrived to awaken you. And once you awaken, you realize that the union you sought was never about two souls finally meeting. It was about one consciousness remembering its infinite wholeness. So as the journey comes full circle, you stand in the quiet light of realization and whisper, not to them but to your own soul. Union begins within, and within it never ends.